Hey there. You have found the Highs and Low podcast, and I'm your host, Lauren Estrada. I have a passion for my hometown of Kansas City, so this show is all about giving those local businesses and entrepreneurs an additional platform to share their vision, their why, and of course, their highs and lows. Join us every Wednesday for new episodes. All right, everyone. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Highs and Low. I am here with Ali Sligar, fashion icon, stylist, curator, just Queen Bee over here. Say hello.
Gosh. Hello. Thank you for having me. I love that intro.
You're welcome. I've known Ali for a couple years now.
Like 4, right?
Yeah, which is weird.
It's like I know I feel like we lost time in the whatever lockdown
pandemic. Yeah, all of that. Like it just doesn't feel like it exists. Right. I'm like, was it 4 years or was it 1?
Right. And yeah, somehow that was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Anyway, we're here to talk about this woman has a lot of businesses and she's involved in a lot of really cool things. And I've always, honestly, when I first had the idea for the podcast, you were one of the first people that I thought of because obviously women empowerment, we love that.
Yes.
But anyway, so for those people that don't know you, kind of give us a little elevator pitch of like what makes you you.
Yeah. So like she said, my name's Ali. I almost said 29. I am 30 years old. And I am from KC. I wasn't born here, but moved here when I was 3. So I kind of claim that I was born and raised here. But yes, so I've been involved in the fashion industry in different ways. I initially decided I wanted to be a fashion stylist when I was about 20 years old. And then I did some interning, did some schooling and training to gain skills in that. Then became a flight attendant, then launched a clothing boutique, and now am kind of venturing back into the styling and using kind of what I learned in those years to make something better and more successful and just more fit with me and what I like to do.
Yeah, I think that is very interesting. As you said that you are now 30, do you feel like that kind of changed your outlook on how your business was run?
Totally. I think, I really think, especially for women, like 25, 26 to 30 are the most transformative years. I truly feel like even since I turned 30 in September, like every month I'm like, I've changed so much. Like it's just you really start to see yourself and your life in a different way and like be able to really form opinions because you've experienced things, you've learned, and you can really decide who you want to be and how you want to live, and whether that's people in your life or what you're doing for a job and like what really makes you happy. And I think the major thing that I've learned is like all the things that I loved to do when I was a kid is what I'm trying to incorporate in my life.
Yeah.
And just bring back like the joy, the everyday joy of little things, and figuring out what actually fires you up and motivates you. Because for me, I mean, I went to college and went from being in high school a straight A student, involved in everything, successful at pretty much everything, always motivated. And then when I got to college, I just kind of lost that. And the main reason was I just had no clue what my forever job or, this. Yeah. I think it's absolutely wild that we kind of expect 18-year-olds to be able to say like, I want to.
You don't know who you are at that point.
No, like, oh my God, we're children. And I just remember going to the job fairs or like coming home on break and like, your uncles and aunts and family members asking like, what are you studying? And I'm like, well, this week I'm studying this, but last week I tried this. And if I'm being honest, I'm not into it. And I don't see any of these jobs as like my forever.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a struggle for me, but I feel like eventually it all kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as you said, that is a very good point that 18, you're still kind of getting over who you were as a child and learning who you are as an adult. And I personally felt like my college experience did also kind of get me, like, I started at one point and ended at a totally different one, but if I wouldn't have done that, that wouldn't have helped become the person who I am today.
Totally.
That it's part of your journey. Some people maybe it's not, but
Right.
those first years it's like you're, what do they call it? That you're a baby adult. That it's like you're
Right.
still learning.
Right.
Who
and
you are.
and there are, like, for some people it works. And I sometimes am so jealous. I'm like, wow, like how cool would it have been at 18? I knew what I knew now, like, and I could have been doing it for the last 12 years.
Yep.
But it's just, it's just different for everyone. So,
No, I feel that because also too, yeah, you're going through obviously your frontal lobe developing when you're and going through a quarter life crisis when you're 25, 26, 27. And of course you are going through that during a pandemic. So you're like, cool, all right, we're going to find something different.
totally. Yeah, I feel like those years, I learned what I kind of how I want, like the lifestyle that I want to live, because I was a flight attendant, and when I was 23, 24, 25, 26, like I loved it, and the on the go, constantly living out of a suitcase, I lived for it.
Yeah.
Now I don't. Like,
Yeah.
it got to the point where I was dreading leaving my house for a couple days. Like, just you get more responsibilities, and you eventually, I just wanted to be home, and I wanted to be, figure out something that gives me a little more peace, I guess.
Yeah.
And then also learning what you want out of a relationship, or if you want a relationship. And I kind of in those years went through all of that, where I
Yeah.
stopped a career, stopped a relationship, started a new job, like all these things,
Yeah.
all kind of at once, which was a lot, but we made it.
Crammed all of those life experiences into a short amount of time. You're like, we will find out who I am on the end of
Yep.
this.
And at times I was like, I feel like this is so out of my control, and it was just like happening, but I just kind of had to trust it. And once it was finished, I was like, wow, like it was worth it.
We made it through, but also that was rough.
Yeah, we might have some trauma, but we're okay.
So obviously one of your businesses is Flighty Apparel Boutique,
Yes.
which you did. The idea came after you started being a flight attendant, obviously.
Yes. So, like I said, I was in the fashion industry early in my 20s, and then life kind of just happened, and the career of being a flight attendant happened, and I loved it, so I went for it. And then I always just had in my head, like, someday I will tie in the fashion aspect. I'm not really sure how. And then COVID hit. I wasn't flying for about a year, and so I'm home, bored, and it kind of came back like, okay, this could be the perfect time. So I decided to launch an online boutique, and my biggest inspiration for the actual clothes that I would carry was really inspired by traveling, and just how much excitement and joy I get from just planning outfits for a trip. Honestly, it's like half the fun for me.
Oh,
like,
obviously.
the trip could be shit, but the outfits were fire. Like,
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah.
So that really inspired me. And I also just felt at the time, a lot of the stores that were available to us here, especially, I just felt like everyone was kind of carrying the exact same style that wasn't my style. Like, I like things that are like a little edgier, a little more bold, a little more like of a statement piece.
Yeah.
And I just really struggled to find those things for myself when I was planning a trip or having like a special event. So that's what really inspired the boutique. I launched it December 1st, 2020. And quickly within the first year, it did really well. And then I got into a couple local collective boutiques, which was the perfect move. I highly recommend that for people starting an online boutique and, wanting to take it to more of a brick and mortar feel, is to look for a collective boutique, because it's kind of the best of both worlds. You're still going to be paying rent, and you will have some overhead, but it's night and day from you decided to open your own.
Like, it's like if you're testing the waters,
Totally.
you're like, maybe I want to do this, but not having to go full send.
Totally. And most of them, it's staffed. Like, you don't have to physically be there. So if, you're starting something on the side and you have, another job or another business that's your livelihood, you don't have to dedicate all your time to being in a store. So I got in Kindred here in Kansas City. At the time, they had a location on the plaza and in Oak Park. And the first year in there was incredible, especially on the plaza. My stuff did really well on the plaza. And then unfortunately, with the last few years, there's been a lot of change with ownership of the plaza. And that caused them to have to move locations. And it's interesting, and I've learned a lot about just locations, even like a street away on the plaza makes such a difference, because it went from being on Nichols, which was like fully retail.
Oh, yeah.
Like where Sephora and like Altered State, all those stores, and then moved over by like Graham and Dunn. And so it went from like a retail street to more of a foodie street.
Yeah.
And the sales plummeted.
Oh, yeah, because nobody even knows that you're over there.
Yes. So that really hurt, and have gone through it's been about 3 years, right? Or 4? 4?
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess 3 technically.
3 in December, going on the 4th. So through the years, I've learned a lot. And the main thing that I learned, which isn't always the easiest to do, is whatever your vision was from the start, like why you started it, why you wanted it to be unique, what made it set you apart from the rest, hold on to that and like fight for it for your life. Like don't let anybody or anything steer you away. Because I did let things steer me away, and it always, like, you feel like you're making a good decision. And my example of this is when my high priced, more like unique statement pieces were selling so well in the plaza, and now we changed stores. Now it's not. So now my sales were now up at the mall.
Yeah.
And so I had to kind of look at the demographic at the mall versus Oak Park. And typically it was a little bit younger, a little bit lower of a price point. And so I pivoted how I was buying for my store, and I bought more of the stuff that why I started, I hated. Like more of the, I don't want to say like basic, but kind of basic stuff that like you could find any and everywhere. And I, for a moment it was good because like my sales were up, but it was like, once I took a step back, I was like, I wouldn't buy this. Yeah. Like, I don't even like this stuff. I'm not excited to show this off. I was like conforming to what I thought I needed. And like, in the moment when you've got, tens of thousands of dollars worth of inventory, like every time I'd buy a collection, it'd be about 10 grand. And if you're not selling that, you're sitting on it. Yeah. So, you get desperate, you get, you think you're doing the right thing, and you might be just to survive, but in the longevity of your business and like your integrity of why you did this in the first place kind of dies. Yeah. So I had a few times in the 3 years of like trying something, realizing, wow, I've gotten so off track of why I even did this in the beginning.
Like your original vision.
Yeah. And then kind of pivoting and trying to come back. And lots of trials and tribulations.
Yeah, no, I feel that, because as much as possible, you want to make your audience, your customer base happy. But if that means, as you said, changing your original direction and what makes your business you, then it's kind of hard. That you want to be successful, but at the same time, you're giving up like the you part of it.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like I tried so many different routes because, there's a huge benefit to having just an online store, because as soon as you start getting your stuff in a store, now you have this overhead, which inventory, for anyone wanting to do anything in retail, inventory is the biggest bitch. Okay, that'll be my one word, because that was, you need, like, I'm not kidding. Inventory, if you can figure out, which there's so many ways these days to do like drop shipping and like there's ways around it, but for what I was doing, there really wasn't a way around it, because in order to stand out and build relationships with your followers and like build an online presence, you've got to be on camera. You've got to be on the stories. You've got to be wearing the clothes. You've got to be showing it. And I can't do that with a picture.
Yeah.
And like these,
you're like, hey, look at this model on a white background.
Exactly. And like the brands that I would buy from, I wasn't, you know, I can't just ask for a sample. Like that's just not how it works. And when you're buying for inventory, you have to buy a certain amount of them, which I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like, if
it's not like you're buying 3 smalls, a medium, and a large and calling it good.
Right. Like it comes in a pack, and typically it's like a 222 of whatever sizing you have. And then, so a lot of it is predicting the future of like, what do you think people are going to buy?
Yeah.
And if you're wrong,
you're stuck with it.
You're stuck with it. And then, yeah, you can, as soon as you discount it, it discounts it in people's minds. And then they're like, okay, what's next? What do you have next? And it's just this like cycle. And you're like, well, like, yeah, I would love to have new clothes, but I still have this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I like literally can't buy more.
Yeah.
And that is the kind of the wheel of that makes it really tough.
Yeah.
And what eventually for me was like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
And I think also in the last 3 years, I mean, I think nobody's surprised at this, but the economy and how people shop and what people are willing and prioritize spending their money on is so different.
Oh, yeah.
Than it was even 3 years ago. And so what I really specialized in was more statement, like, you know, I would love for you to wear the piece a million times, but a lot of people are like, I'm buying this for this specific event and I may only wear it like 1 or 2 more times. And that is the first to go when you're deciding what's important here. And I totally get that. So it's just kind of a mix of that, of like, spoiler alert, I am kind of stopping with the boutique, and we'll get into that if you can't already tell. But the demise of it is the inventory and not flipping the inventory quick enough to make it relevant. And or I had a lot of times when there were like major shipping delays. Like, do you remember when there was like shipping cargoes like stuck in the ocean?
Yeah.
That was like the stuff I would be buying. So like I would go to a market and order something for spring, and I was told it was going to ship on this date, and I would have it in time to, you know, do the photo shoot, do all of the stuff to market it, and
because you got to get it out before
and
spring.
Release it in time for it to be relevant.
Yeah.
And then guess what? All of a sudden they're like, actually, we don't know when it's coming, but
could
like
be August.
We've already swiped your card, and then it gets there, and you're like, okay, cool. I now try to sell this. If I can't, I've got to discount it, which already is hurting because you know your markup is only so much, and then I can save this for next year. You know, it's this like,
hopefully it's still in trend, like with the new stuff
exactly
next year.
So a mixture of all of that, and then also I think we can all really relate to this because, you know, TikTok Shop, Amazon, all of these brand or shopping avenues that can sell the exact same thing that I'm buying for my boutique, and, you know, gonna sell it for $58.
Yeah.
Now, like Amazon, TikTok, Shein, there's an option for you to find it for half of that.
Yeah.
And like, how can I fault you for doing that?
Yeah.
But it makes it really, really hard to compete. And so your only other option is to have your own unique designs. Well, that's a whole nother beast in itself, because you've got to find a manufacturer and you've got to, like, you can't just buy a pack from a manufacturer. You need to be buying like hundreds of units.
Yeah.
And if you haven't sold hundreds of units of a particular item in the past, it's like, that's such a risk.
Yeah.
So
you don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah. So all of that has really kind of led me to decide that in this moment, I'm not going to say never, ever, ever. And right now you can still shop my brand. It's flightyapparel.com. You can shop online. I do have some of my most recent items still in Kindred in Oak Park. But other than that, my plans currently, I have no plans of buying new inventory.
Unless something changes. Yeah.
Yeah. Like at this point I have, you know, I've done the retail. I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly of it. And I'm pivoting to a more service-based business.
Which, oh man, she's doing my job for me. I love
Do you
this.
like that little transition?
I'm like literally just having to like sit here and like hang out. This is great because like Allie's just doing all of the work for me.
Oh my gosh. Well, if I'm taking over, you can.
No, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm like, I'm just leading you into more
Yes.
things to talk about. But yes, so tell us a little bit, and we're finally getting to follow what your
Yes.
original plan was.
It honestly feels really, really good, and it feels very full circle because when I was 20 and left school after 2 years with nothing to show for it because I changed my major so many times, at that point, it's crazy because I'm like, I'm jealous of the people that knew what they wanted to do, but like I did.
Yeah.
I did know what I wanted to do. I just didn't really have all of the life experience, the work experience, the business savviness, the confidence and life, just growing up and having the confidence to step into this role. So what I wanted to do back then was be a personal stylist.
I'm so excited.
That is where we are at now. So I am basically since the new year, I have been working on friends and families' wardrobes and closets and kind of testing the process that I've built. And I'm really proud of the process. I think it's very unique. I've followed many stylists in the past however many years. I've kind of picked and pulled processes that I see that I think are genius, and then also incorporated stuff of my own. I incorporate astrology into it. Like
I knew you were gonna bring that. I was like, you have to.
It's really cool. So I actually this past weekend had my first like legit paid client, and that was honestly so much fun because the few like the friends and stuff that I've been doing, it's I'm learning. So there were parts where I was like, oh, like I don't know, that wasn't that smooth, or I would want to change this. And so this was kind of my first like, let's see how it goes. And I have no complaints. Like it was so enjoyable for me and the client. And I just feel like it's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was like, for people who like don't really understand what a personal style is like, break it down, especially for the men.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I 100% will be working with men as well.
Yeah.
So the old school name for a personal stylist, like in our like mom's age, was image consultant. And so the other example that I think a lot of people would relate to and know what I'm talking about is, the show Queer Eye, like the recent one. Yeah. So I'm not going to be coming in your home and redecorating. Not doing that.
That's
so
not what she's doing.
Take that out of it. But when they do the wardrobe part and the closet part, and like what I love about what they do compared to what I've seen, because there's personal stylists here in Kansas City currently. There's online, like you can book someone, and this is not me shading, it's just I want to be different. And so what I've really seen is there's a lot of services that just kind of tell you what's trendy
and like what you can already Google
and what you should wear.
Yeah.
Where like I'm not here to do that. I want to figure out who you are as a person and who your dream version of you is, and help your wardrobe push that along. Like, when people say dress for the job that you want. Yeah. I want to empower people to, get to their dream life and show up every day to bring that magnetism in where, just because you feel way more confident and you look a certain way, like people notice you differently. People approach you because of your outfit, or just the radiance that you're carrying because you're just versus wearing sweatpants, and we're like,
and everyone knows you have that 1, 2, 3 outfits that you put it on. You're like, I feel like I'm at the top of the world.
And so my goal is to make pretty much every day feel like that, even with when you're just being casual. I want to also alleviate the pain that a lot of people, or like maybe pain is dramatic, but like a lot of people don't enjoy getting dressed every day, or it's just kind of like an afterthought, or like, like I would love to put more time and effort into it, but I don't have time, or my closet's a mess, or I just don't have
it doesn't bring you joy.
Yeah. And so what I do is a lot of work where I'm going pretty deep with you personally, so I can really figure out you and your personality, I do a little astrology stuff. You can, it's all online, so I'm not giving away my secrets, but I like to look at your big three, and then I like to also look at your Venus sign. So I need to double check. I don't know if this is also for men, because I feel like Venus is like the feminine sign. So I feel like for men it might be different, but for women, whatever your Venus sign is like, if you can embody that in the way you dress, the way you act, the way you do your makeup, your hair, like you are the most magnetic and like divinely feminine version of yourself. And so I like to add that in there as well. And then obviously on a more practical level, what is your lifestyle? What are you doing every day? What are you getting dressed for every day? Are you a busy mom? But like just because you're a busy mom doesn't mean you can only wear oversized sweaters and leggings every day and kind of feel like shit, because like a lot of women get stuck in that cycle and they're like, well, it's just not important. Like they give to everyone else. And so I want to build a closet where because it's a lot of the work is collective with the client, but we've built you a closet that makes sense. We get rid of all the crap that, you're never going to wear or you don't know how to wear. I'm going to help you, show you how to wear it. And I also then, when it's all done and we've, seen what you have, we see what you need, I do either virtually shopping for you, and or if we're local, I will do the shopping for you and have like, hey, I need you to meet me at this store, and have a dressing room set up, like a fitting. So it's in and out. It's painless. A lot of people hate shopping.
Yeah. Because you're having to go and like, I swear, like everybody talks about this. When you're looking for something,
it's hard.
You can't find it.
Right.
It's like you just have to be like randomly shopping. You're like, ooh.
Right.
Yep.
And like, not to sound silly, but my favorite part of this job is I have to shop every day, all day. So like I will literally, as soon as I know what you're looking for, I already know where it is, because I'm very familiar and have relationships with stores that are locally and or, online too.
Yeah.
So when all is said and done and we have, the additions to your wardrobe, then I even come back and go through everything that you have, and this is like me solo in my zone in your closet, building as many outfits as I can. And I snap photos of them, and then you have a book. So literally when you're, busy mom on the go, open the book. I want to wear that. You don't even have to think about it. Like, so I just want to make it simple, make it efficient, and make you feel fucking amazing.
Yeah. Nothing more painful than putting together an outfit in your head. You're like, this is going to look awesome. And then you put it on, you're like, well, now I have nothing.
Yeah,
like,
now I'm not going.
Obviously, I'm not going.
Now
because
I'm not going.
It's like the whole Grinch moment. They're like, that was all I had planned. I have no backups. I'm done. Well, Allie does the work for you.
Exactly. And this is kind of new progression in this is I am bringing a partner into this, which I think will only make it that much better. Because it's a lot of work on my end, but more so I want the experience to be just fun and comfortable, and like you're hanging out with your best friends and, it's not scary. There's no judgment, and like you're comfortable to like open up so we can really go there with your clothes. And then eventually I would love to, have an option where you could add on, like if you wanted to completely change your look, like makeup, hair, me and the person that I want to bring in, we're very good at that too. We know people that, work in those fields. So yes.
Lots of super exciting things coming.
And I will give you a little idea on like what the packages would be.
Yeah.
So right now I'm looking at, let's see, three packages and then like a couple little add-ons. So the one like overhaul, kind of what I was just speaking about, that's going to be one package. Then I will have vacation options.
Ooh,
so say you have a weekend trip coming up and you want your outfits to be completely picked, whether it's a mixture of in your closet and we buy some new, or fully new, or fully in your closet. Like I come and style out your outfits for the whole trip.
Yeah.
we have got an option for like a long weekend trip, and then like obviously a longer like, vacation. And then also just a special event. So like I'm going to a wedding, I need a look. That's an option too. And then for my clients that have done the big overhaul package, there will be a little like bonus seasonal refresh. So like, you know, you get the big things done. We've got the basis of everything. And then, you know, once fall comes around, I already know you. I already know your style. I've got all of your stuff saved. I know all the looks that we've already made. And then I kind of go with like what's new, what's in, what's trendy, or, you know, whatever, and give you options for a little refresh as well.
Yeah, that is a big thing. 'Cause as you said, you've already got the main staple items, which I think that's what a lot of people struggle with is getting the staple items that
allow you to be able to like wear something 20 ways.
Yeah. And that you feel the best in.
Because your closet 100% is an investment in itself. And I think a lot of us, you know, fast fashion is so big right now, and you know, I'm not shaming anybody. I participated in it as well. However, I think for the longevity of building a wardrobe that is an investment, maybe spending a little more on like very higher quality statement pieces that you're gonna have forever, just makes more sense. And obviously this service, like, it's an investment too. But you know, we invest in our hair, we invest in our nails, like we do all of these things as women and men that make us feel good. Like, and I think this part, for whatever reason, kind of gets overlooked. When I feel like it's like we're wearing clothes every day. We're getting dressed every day. So,
and it's the whole thing too, that it's just because you see something on someone else doesn't mean that's going to work for you. I think that's the hardest thing for me is
like, do you like that, or do you like how the model looks?
Exactly. Or I'm like, that I love, because you can tell you feel confident in that. I'm like, is that my style, or I'm just happy for you? So it's like trying to find that in between of what is actually going to be representing you, as you've
for sure
about. And I also really like that you have packages that if somebody wasn't wanting to keep going into the consumer cycles, that they want to do a little bit more of that sustainability of help me use what I already have.
And that's a huge part of it, because, you know, I love, even just with my friends, like if I go to their house sometimes just for fun, I'm like, hey, can I go play in your closet for a little bit? And they're like, what?
Play in my closet?
I'm like, just trust me. And then I go in, and I obviously, if it's like my best friend and I've seen her wear a couple things, sure. But I'm so unbiased. I don't know how you've worn it 10 times, because most people wear that one thing the same way every time, because they know it, they're comfortable with it, it works, it looks good. But then that causes you to be burnt out of it and think, oh, I should get rid of this, or I need something new. And it's like, well, what if I could show you a completely different way to wear it? And then it makes shopping your closet fun. But having fresh eyes on what you already know to show you different ways, I think is a game changer. Like, even I'll do the same, like, hey, go in my closet and make a couple outfits. I want to just see what you would do. Like, it's cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because it's like that also kind of sees how their mind works without you having to like ask questions to kind of figure out where they're at.
For sure.
What kind of advice do you have for others besides the few things that you've already talked about, the boutique, either boutique in retail, or even the service-based? Do you have any advice specifically for women? Because we do need to talk about, women are still a minority when it comes to business owners. What advice do you have for those to empower themselves? Any advice for starting business? What all do you got?
Totally. So I think to start with, just in general, and I think as women especially, my biggest advice is whatever you're trying to do, whatever idea you have, one, if you can't stop thinking about it, do it. And be careful with who you share it with. Because I swear to God, like, the amount of times that I've had an idea, and it's not, I don't mean this in a mean way. It's not like, oh, cut that person off. But like, even like sometimes your parents, like, times are different. Times have changed. And like, you know, a lot of people are stuck in this like old school mentality of how things should work. And like, they don't understand that you could literally start a TikTok page tomorrow and be the next Alex Earl in a year. Like, the opportunities for us now are endless. So one, be careful who you share it with, and maybe don't even share it with anyone for a little bit. Or if you have that like one friend that really sees your vision, sure. But even just somebody's like lack of excitement when you tell them can just kill your vibe.
Yeah. It's the work in secret, celebrate in public.
Yeah. So just be careful who you share with. Then next would be whatever, field you're trying to be in or whatever it is that you're trying to do. You need to immerse yourself in it and educate yourself so you know everything about whatever it is. So if anyone or, a man asks you a question and tries to stump you, you know your shit.
Yeah.
Like, have the backing, have the education where the last thing anyone would ever say is, oh, well, she doesn't really know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Like, know your stuff and then immerse yourself in other people that are doing something similar. And I think especially in the beginning, it's, some people are like, oh, like blinders. And I do believe in that at a certain point. But in the beginning, when you're just like, I have this idea, see who else is doing it. See who else is doing something similar. See what's working for them. See what you maybe don't like or what you think you could improve in. See what issues they're maybe running into. Look at reviews. What are clients complaining about? Make sure that never happens for you. Or, how can I take this concept and just like refresh it and make it different? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, pretty much everything that we're trying to do these days, it's saturated.
Yeah. So
you've got to stand out and you've got to build the personal connection. And I think that's where a lot of people, I think that's the hardest part, like myself included. There's just days where you don't want to show up. You don't want to put your face behind the camera. You don't want to do that. But, the saying, people buy from people.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to make you stand out versus the big corporation.
Yeah.
That is just a business and a name. So educate yourself. And then also being able to show up like that, you're going to feel so much better doing that when you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
What else? If you're looking into retail, inventory, I would say that is going to be your biggest pain point. So be careful with it. And like, if I could go back and do it all again, I would be way more structured, organized, and rigid on budget. And like keeping track of your numbers every day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to spend $5,000 on this collection. And if I haven't made X amount back by this amount of time, I've got an issue. Because I think I like for the first 2 years, I was just kind of winging it. Like, I didn't have anybody telling me this. I didn't, the advice I would see online was to start small with your inventory or be very selective. But then, you send me and my mom to market in New York City and we're like both just running around like, oh my God, this is the best day ever. I love everything. We have a serious shopping issue. Is this why we did this job? Like, and then you buy all this stuff and then all of a sudden you're like, why did we buy that?
Like in theory, this seemed cool, but maybe not for Kansas City.
Yes. And then, to piggyback off of that, for people that are in the retail space and they're going to market, be structured, organized, and rigid with your plan. Know what you're going there for. Know what your budget is. Yeah. And keep track of it, because the amount of clothes you're going to look at in the next 72 hours, you're going to forget. Like, that we even like bought the same thing, like, similar. Yeah. And like forgot. And so it's like you need to literally be just so organized and be like, we're looking for a fringe leather jacket. And then when you find it, check it off. Like,
we're done.
It sounds so simple. Yeah. But just being very organized. Inventory, there's a lot of places that are switching to drop shipping. So like, if you can figure out a way to make that work for you, highly recommend it. Yeah. Because how quickly the inventory adds up on your credit card is scary.
Yeah. But of course, as you said, you have to find a way to make that personal, because drop shipping is so impersonal, because 100%. Anyone can do it.
100%. And it, like I was talking about, looking, like keeping an eye on other people, I would say do that in the beginning. Figure out let that help you figure out your mission and your plan and your vision. And then once you know what you're doing, block it all, like unfollow or mute or whatever, because one thing that I would find myself doing is like, because it's not always fun, okay?
Yeah.
Like the amount of times I wanted to quit or like crying and like I have no idea what to do, but like I'm in the hole. Like I don't know what to do. And so you're going to have days where you're just like kind of in the dumps. And the next thing you know, you're on your phone and you're looking at these other boutiques that obviously, you know, who knows, they could be thriving. They could not be, because, you know, a lot of people maybe are shocked to hear what I'm saying about my boutique right now.
Social media isn't real.
Yes. And so the last thing you need to be doing is just consuming all these other people's contents, because then, you know, say you had an idea that you wanted to make that was similar. Now you've seen them do it and you're like, oh, well, now I can't do it.
Yeah.
Where if you weren't watching it, you would just be creating. So creating versus consuming.
Yeah.
Once you know what you're doing, block everything out and just start creating, and just put your head down. Don't worry about anybody else and just keep going. That would be my biggest advice.
I remember one of our mutuals, Denise, always used to say that. Don't consume before you create, because that is something that we always get in a hole with. Is the first thing in the morning, you pick up your phone and you start scrolling.
And then you're comparing.
Yeah.
And then you're doubting yourself. You're like questioning like, oh, well, maybe my idea was stupid.
Yeah.
And like, I bet it wasn't.
Yeah. Comparison is like your worst enemy at that point.
100%.
It's your business. Do what you think is best. But as you said, as long as you've educated yourself on all of that, then you won't be, you know, putting yourself in a position that you shouldn't be in. Because yes, comparison is just going to get the best or the worst of you, rather.
Yes. My last piece of advice, which I think kind of rounds this up, this topic, is it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to pivot, and it's okay to quit.
Yes.
I think that obviously we, you know, and I would say probably the last year I was in this like, should I keep going? Should I keep going? Well, yeah, because my pride. Yeah, because I don't want to have wasted all this time, or what is everyone going to think?
Yeah.
And then eventually I think I just naturally got to the point where it was none of that mattered anymore. And it was more so like, okay, what's best for me? What's best for my fucking bank account?
Yep.
What's best for my well-being? Am I sick every day in my head because this credit card is haunting me?
Yeah.
And it's heavy on my shoulders. Therefore, all the things that I'm good at, which is the creative and the ideas and the, you know, all that stuff that is why I started and what I love, it strips that from you. Because now you're just like, you're working out of like scarcity and desperation.
Yeah.
And then all of that goes away. So if it's not working, of course, like give it your due diligence.
Right.
Try different things, try different ideas, try everything, because you know what might seem like a small idea might be the winning thing for you.
Yeah.
But if you've kind of exhausted things and you just feel like you don't really know why you're still going, and it's not fun and exciting. I feel like I don't know if it's like our parents' generation, I don't know, but I feel like we have this ingrained in us that like work has to suck.
Yeah.
And you have to fucking struggle all the time. And you just keep going, keep
pick
fighting.
the one
keep
thing, you
fighting,
stay there.
And you're going to be miserable your whole life. But guess what? That's life.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
Like we can pivot and change. And I think me even announcing like Flighty Apparel is done. That is okay. Like it doesn't hurt me to say.
Yeah.
A few months ago it did.
Yeah. Because you're like, are people going to see me as a failure? And you're like, that point, it doesn't matter because it's not filling your cup currently.
Right.
You did what you wanted to do. You've gained that business experience. You had those life experiences. Now it's time to pivot into what you want to do next.
And ultimately, what I loved about having a boutique was helping people build outfits, helping people feel confident, showing people how to wear things that maybe they wouldn't normally do. And so where I'm pivoting to is solely just that with pretty much no overhead.
Yeah.
So it's literally like what my service charge, like what I'm charging is going in my pocket.
Yeah.
It's not going to pay off the credit card. It's not going to my rent. It's not like for the store.
Yeah.
You know, all these other
All the overhead
things.
Yeah.
So it's okay to change your mind, and it's okay to say, you know what, this didn't work out the way I wanted, but I've learned so much and it's going to catapult me into what I want to do.
Yep. I think that's the most important thing anyway. As you said, you went through that to find what your specific passion was. That you're like, I know in general that I like fashion and I like doing these things. And you tried a couple different things and you're like, this is what I wanted. This is what I really wanted to do.
Totally.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on,
Oh my gosh, of course.
Yeah. So obviously, Flighty Apparel, you can still shop on the
you
website.
can still shop online, flightyapparel.com. The Instagram is Flighty Apparel. I do have some pieces still in Kindred. Most everything is online though.
Okay.
And then I will be, so my personal Instagram is Ali Sligar, ALISLIGAR. And I haven't launched my like new website, so that will be coming soon.
So basically, if they're interested in your services at this point, message you on Instagram.
Yes.
Perfect. And we'll make sure to add the links in the description of the episode.
Yep.
Make it super easy on you guys. You can all like go book her, find what your true style is.
I think we need to do your closet.
Yeah, we really do. I've been wearing a lot of like what I call bartender chic for the last like 8 years.
Yeah, and I didn't mean that as a diss. I just meant like since we're talking about it.
Oh,
like,
no, yeah.
I want to.
No, very clearly. Like that is the joke. Like I am currently actually wearing.
I'm not like, bitch, we need to do your closet.
I've seen what you wear.
No. More so like I'm so excited to do everyone.
She wants to come play in my closet.
I want to come play. Let me come play in your closet.
Half of it is Flighty Apparel, so she knows what she's getting into.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and we will see you guys all next week.
Okay. Thank you.